You ever wonder what secrets your iPhone is holding? Well, today, we're going to crack open the world of iOS forensics and take a look at the digital breadcrumbs we all leave behind. We're going to explore the architecture, the security, and the, surprisingly detailed stories that your data can actually tell.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start with the basics, like what even is iOS? Then we'll peel back the layers of its architecture and its pretty serious security. After that, we'll get into how data gets pulled off a phone and where to find it. And finally, the really cool part, what all this data can actually reveal about a person's life.
All right, first things first, let's get on the same page about iOS. It's not just the software running on your phone, right? It's this whole digital world, an entire environment that Apple has built from the ground up. And here's the key thing to get. iOS is basically a fortress. Yeah, it's the world's second most popular mobile OS, but because Apple controls everything, the hardware and the software, it's a completely closed ecosystem. For a forensic investigator, that tight control is a massive challenge. It is a very, very tough nut to crack. And get this, Apple's long-term support is a total game changer. I mean, iOS 17, which came out in 2023, still runs on phones from way back in 2018. This constant evolution, it's nothing like the Android world. It creates this fascinating, constant cat and mouse game between Apple's security updates and the forensic experts trying to get in. So, with that in mind, how does anyone actually get inside this fortress? Well, to figure that out, we first need to understand the blueprint of its defenses. And it all starts with the system's core architecture. The whole system is built in 4 distinct layers. Think of it like a building. Way down in the basement, you've got the core OS, which handles all the fundamentals like memory and the file system. Move up a floor, you have core services, then the media layer, and right at the top on the penthouse level is Cocoa Touch. That's the part that understands all your taps and swipes on the screen.
Okay, now let's talk about the security you actually see and use every single day. Your Face ID, your Touch ID, that trusty passcode, they're the gatekeepers of your digital life. And believe me, they're not just for show. They're the absolute first line of defense an investigator has to deal with. But the real challenge, that lies much deeper in this digital labyrinth of system-level protections. And the big one here is sandboxing. You can think of it like a digital quarantine. Every single app is stuck in its own isolated room, and it's completely unable to peek into what its neighbors are doing. For investigators, this is a massive roadblock. So with all these digital walls and locked doors, how do you actually get any data out? Well, the key isn't trying to break down the walls, but instead finding a way into the phone's digital filing cabinet, the physical storage itself. For years, Apple used an older file system called HFSX. But then, back in 2017, they rolled out their very own modern system, APFS, which stands for Apple File System. And this wasn't just some small update. It fundamentally changed how data is organized and stored on the device. Okay, so imagine the phone storage is like a 2-story house. The first floor, that's the system partition. It's the foundation, it holds the operating system, and it's read-only, which means you can't change it. But the second floor, that's the user data partition, and that is where all of your personal stuff is stored. For a forensic investigator, this is the treasure trove. So once an investigator gets inside that second floor, the hunt really begins. The file structure becomes this kind of digital treasure map, where every single path and every folder leads to another little piece of a person's digital life. The real trick, of course, is knowing how to read that map. And here's the thing, almost every journey on that map starts in the exact same place. Nearly all of the data that's interesting from a forensic standpoint is located under one main directory, /private/var/. This is ground zero. This is the X that marks the spot. So from this main hub, the map just branches out. You've got a whole neighborhood for all your different apps, a central library for your system data and logs, and then a media room that holds all your photos and videos. Each one holds a different piece of the puzzle. All right, now for the moment you've been waiting for. We've gotten past the security, we've navigated the map, and now it's time to see what kind of treasures we've actually found. And let me tell you, the stories this data can tell are absolutely mind-blowing. So imagine having a personal diary that records every single digital move you make. That's pretty much what a database on the phone called knowledgec.db is. It knows when you were scrolling Instagram, what time you asked Siri for the weather, when you plugged into CarPlay, and it even keeps a log of the push notifications you've received. But hold on, it's not just your digital life that's being tracked.
The Apple Health Database is a goldmine of your physical life. And we're talking about incredibly detailed data here, from your heart rate and walking speed to how many flights of stairs you climb, and even the ambient noise level of your favorite coffee shop. And of course, there's location. The iPhone often keeps multiple logs. One file can store your precise location for the past week, complete with your speed and direction of travel. Then another file might hold a more general log of your whereabouts, going back a month or even more. So, what does all this really mean? It means an iPhone doesn't just hold data, it's a storyteller. It's constantly weaving this incredibly detailed narrative of your life, one tiny data point at a time. The real question is, who's reading that story?
Look, we've only just scratched the surface of iOS forensics today, but it's crystal clear that our phones are so much more than just devices. They're digital extensions of who we are. And as we keep blurring the lines between our physical and digital lives, it's more important than ever to be aware of the stories our data is telling. Thanks for joining us.